Now it's time to talk about something that we hear often is this RAW versus JPEG debate. You might have heard this and you might not know the difference between what a RAW photo is and a JPEG photo is. So essentially when you shoot a photo on your camera or even on your smartphone, there's different file systems that you can use. So a JPEG photo is one of the most common photos, probably the most common file format you can use. And essentially a JPEG photo is a compressed photo. So when you take a picture with your camera and you save it as a JPEG, the camera will automatically edit the photo on its own to how it thinks it should look. It'll edit it, it'll compress it, and that results in a smaller file size and an image that often looks very good outside of camera. And then the other side of things is a RAW photo. And a RAW photo is a photo that captures as much data as possible. So when you take a RAW image, it's capturing as much information as possible and it's not compressing it in any way. Why that's good is because when you go into editing, you have a lot more flexibility with editing a RAW photo. You have a lot more detail on the highlights, a lot more detail in the dark areas, and you can really edit the photo to your own liking. When you first look at the photos out of camera, the RAW photo might look really gray, really boring, but you can edit that photo to make it look however you want. JPEG photos, like I said, they're compressed, so they're a smaller file size than the large file sizes of the RAW photos, but they're a little bit more difficult to edit. With that said, I'm not going to tell you to shoot RAW and I'm not going to tell you to shoot JPEG. There's a difference for everybody. RAW photos, they take up a lot of space on your phone, and that can be difficult. But the good thing about RAW photos is you can edit them in Lightroom Mobile. Actually, Lightroom Mobile released an update a few years ago, so you can edit any RAW photo in Lightroom Mobile. And that's amazing, the fact that you can edit RAW photos on your phone. And that was the thing that kind of transformed the mobile editing process to actually be legit, is when you could edit RAW photos on your phone. With that said, JPEG photos are totally fine. It just depends. Do you want to spend more time editing and creating a really epic, beautiful photo? I would go with RAW. If you just want to do some very simple edits and just kind of touch up things like exposure and color, JPEG is fine. You're not going to see like a massive difference between the two, but I did want to add this section because I think it is important. Now, with that said, if you're a mobile shooter, you should be shooting all of your photos through the Lightroom Mobile app. And the reason for that is because Adobe Lightroom Mobile has its own RAW file. It's called the DNG file. So you can capture RAW photos on your phone, giving you much more flexibility in the editing process and allowing you to create edits that have more detail, that have more vivid colors and things like that. So I highly recommend, if you are shooting on your phone, shoot through the Lightroom Mobile app, because you can shoot in that Adobe DNG RAW file, which is amazing in my opinion.